Yes.
So, hello everyone, welcome to our exciting online event on getting started with Azure Data Factory with our esteemed speaker, Indra Bandari, a Microsoft Data Platform MVP, and I'm sure you will find this session very interesting and very informative. So moving to who we are and what we stand for. So we are multi-cloud for you. We have a community of more than 100,000 strong technologists from all over the globe. And we specialized in multi-cloud strategies, data science, artificial intelligence, blockchain, and extreme engineering. And additionally, we assist technologists in sharing their learning and accessing opportunity through our platform, which is www.fifthir.com. So how we are growing? So now I'd like to give a short intro about how our company is growing. So we have conducted more than 1,000 plus sessions till now, and we are having more than 300 plus speakers and more than 29,000 members who are associated with our platform. So these are the few master mentors who are associated with our platform. Uh, Now, we are also an academic partner with Alibaba Cloud, and these are the few courses that we have done in line with Alibaba Cloud. And you can go through all these courses on our platform, which is www.fifthir.com. And you can also get the certificate directly from Alibaba Cloud. So how we help? So we can help you to build your knowledge, digital presence, and assist you during odd hours when you are looking for a job through our community. And multi-cloud for you is a global data consulting and digital business transformation firm ranked by CIO Tech Outlook among the top 10 digital business transformation consulting startup in India. And you can get all of these with a single link, which is www.fifthir.com. Now, as a part of our community, we will provide a certificate to all the registered participants, and the certificate will be issued from our side within 1 week. So I request all the attendees who have not registered for the event, so please register for from the below link, which is given here. This is the sample certificate that you will get, and you can share the certificate through all the social media platforms from our portal. So now moving to the speaker of the day, who is Indra Bandari, who is a Microsoft Data Platform MVP and a senior data consulting specialized in business intelligence and SQL. Indra also serves a BI consulting, business intelligence, and a specialized system analyst. Additionally, she co-organized the Auckland Artificial Intelligence Meetup and the New Zealand Power BI Meetup. And for the more information about Indra, you can go through his social media profile. Now over to Indra Bandari. Welcome, Indra. Welcome to our platform.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm just going to share
Welcome.
my screen. Yeah. You see my screen?
Yes, your screen is visible.
Okay. Okay, so yeah, okay. So today's topic is getting started with Azure Data Factory. And my name is Indira Bandari, and I'm working as a data architect here in New Zealand. And Just a little bit about me. I have been working in the data space for the last 20 years, more than 20 years now. And I love giving back to the community. So I share whatever knowledge I have gained using these webinars and organizing meetups and conferences. And also, I have a passion to teach kids all about technology. So I run SQL and Power BI classes for them. Moving on, today's agenda is what is ADF? We'll try and understand what ADF is. And it's going to be interactive. So try to answer questions when I ask you all. Just want it to be interactive, and how we are going to use ADF, and what the ADF components are, and what are the prerequisites for ADF, and also let's all create your first pipeline. So this is the agenda. Let's see where we get to. Next one. Okay, what is ADF or Azure Data Factory? Can anyone answer? Anyone can unmute and answer. Are they able to unmute? Or maybe you can do it in the chat as well.
The participant can unmute themselves.
Okay, so can you unmute and answer? Somebody can answer. What do you think is ADF or Azure Data Factory? Have you heard about that? No answer? What is it? What are you trying to learn from this session? Just trying to see who the participants are so that I can. Ankit, Anu, Hemant, anyone can answer. Madhuri, Nikita. What do you think is Azure Data Factory? Anything you can answer. Yeah, ADF is used to extract data through pipeline. Yeah, very good, Hemant. Any other bold people who want to answer? You can either chat or unmute and answer. What exactly is Azure Data Factory? What is it? Where does it reside? Okay, no one else want to be bold and answer like Hemant. Yeah, it's on Azure portal. Yes, thanks Hemant. Okay, thanks for being interactive. Okay, let's see what it is. Azure Data Factory, cloud-based data integration service. Okay, so like how Hemant has mentioned, it helps in integrating data from one place to another. So it allows for us to create a data-driven workflows or pipelines, like how Hemant said. So what exactly is this? So you have, let's say you have your data in Oracle or SQL Server on-premise data in your data center in some form of tables. Or let's imagine you have Excel files that you have worked on in your hard drive. So, and you want to get that to, let's say, Azure SQL database, which is on the cloud. Okay, Azure SQL database is on the cloud. Which cloud is that? Azure cloud. Okay, so in order to do that, you need this kind of tool where you create a pipeline, and to create a pipeline, you move the data from your on-premise to the cloud, wherever you want. It can be a data warehouse somewhere in Synapse, or it can be Azure SQL Server, or it can be anywhere that you want. Azure Cosmos DB, wherever you want, you can move that. And that's what we will do today in the demo. Questions? Yeah, so what exactly it does is it helps in orchestrating data movement and transfer data at scale. So you can, it not only allows movement of data, but you can, if you want to transform the data of the original data, if you want to transform it, aggregate it, or whatever you want to do the transformations, you can do it using Azure Data Factory. Okay, now let's see what is ETL or ELT. Have you heard of these terms? If you have heard, what are they? First question is, have you heard of these terms? Yes or no? You can type in the chat. Just want to know how many of you have heard. Yes, Ankit, very good. Yeah. Anyone else who heard of these terms? Extract, transform, load. Yes, very good. Thank you, Ankit. Hemant, Madhuri, yes. Thank you. Anu, yes. Very good. Thank you for being so interactive. Okay. So extract, transform, load is ETL, and ELT is extract, load, and transform. Sometimes, some scenarios, what we do is first we extract and do the transformation and then load. In other scenarios, where what we do is we extract the data first and then load it and then do the transformations. Both can coexist as well. Like sometimes we do in Power BI if you are using Power BI. Okay, so here in this diagram, it shows extract, transform, and load part of the diagram, where you have all these data sources, email, CRM, NetSuite, whatever, Facebook ads, backend database, all these are there. So here from these data sources, we extract whatever we want. We extract the data and then do the transformation. So transformations can be just renaming a column or changing a data type by using cast, or even joining two tables, or some kind of enrichment that need to be done in order to load into a data warehouse. And once we do the transformation, we load into the data warehouse. So this is the process of extract, transform, and load. So Kunal, Kushank, so now do you understand? Because I haven't heard from you. So I'm just asking you whether you have understood that concept of ETL, which is extract, transform, and load. Okay, now moving forward. ELT is first the data is extracted and then you load the raw data into the data warehouse and then do your transformations. You can do those transformations within the warehouse in the same tables, or create new tables with those transformations. It can be of any scenario, any of that kind of scenario. So that is where ELT is used. Now, next one is, let's see how we can use ADF. So I'll explain you the whole process of how we use the ADF. So in the picture that you are seeing, external data sources are connected to Azure Data Factory. Okay. Now this is external data sources can be SQL Server, which is in your data center on premise, which is in the on premises network, or it can be external data like Excel files or CSV files or text files. So this data is stored in from the data sources. It is extracted and stored in a blob storage. How many of you understand blob storage? What is blob storage? Anyone? Blob storage? Okay, looks like no one understands. We will be creating a blob storage. What it is on Azure platform, you will create create a sort of a folder in Azure platform so that we can store all the files that we need. So that is called blob storage. Okay, it will be a folder structure, like how you can see in the Windows Explorer, the folders, documents, your documents, downloads, all those folders. Similarly, you can create something in the Azure blob storage. So all these files from on-premises network and external data will be stored into a storage blob. And that means that is the ingestion that happens. Extracting is nothing but ingestion. And from after the data is stored into the blob storage, you can do some orchestration. Orchestration means nothing but you move the data and transform the data. ETL is called orchestration. What is the tool that is used for this orchestration? Anyone? What will be the tool? I'm showing you the answer. So you can, yeah, you can use Power Query, but what are we talking about today for orchestration? Good try, Hemant. ADF, yes. So for this one, ADF is going to be the orchestration tool for us to go to move the file from storage blob or blob storage to Azure Synapse or Azure SQL or whatever you want to store the data for. So that is the orchestration part. And once we store it, we have to, why do we store data? We want to do some kind of analysis, right? So for that, you can either use analysis services. This could be one path, or you can directly use Power BI over Azure Synapse or Azure SQL that you are getting here. And how is this all getting authenticated? Because there should be some kind of security, right? So how is this all kind of getting authenticated? Any idea? What is authentication? AAD, yes, Madhuri. So AAD is Azure Active Directory, which is now renamed as Microsoft Entra ID. Okay, so unless you have your Entra ID or Azure Active Directory username and password, you will not be able to do all this magic here. So it has to be tied up to with your Azure Active Directory account. So my account is Indira Bandari. So I will log in as me, and then I can do those things. And Ankit, you can do these things only when you log into the Azure portal as yourself. You can't log in as Hemant and do it. It has to be you. Only you can log in. You can't log in as Hemant, right? Or Hemant cannot log in as Ankit, right? So that's the reason you have to do the Azure Active Directory. You have to have the valid Azure Active Directory login, and then only you can do it. So that is the one of the processes that you can follow for Azure Data Factory. Now what we'll do is we'll look at some ADF functions. So what are the ADF functions? So first function is called connect and collect. So that's the first part of the process. So when you looked at the diagram that in the previous slide, what it has is it has external sources, right? So the first part of the process is to collect the required data from the appropriate data sources, right? These can be collected, can be located in different locations, right? Including on-premises sources, or it can be on the cloud as well. And also the data, how will the data be? It can be structured or unstructured or semi-structured. Anyone, what is it? Can all of you give some examples of structured, unstructured, and semi-structured data? Kunal, Kush, I'm not having any response from you. You can also give, and others also can give. Ankit, what is structured data? Yeah, okay. So I'm not getting Excel is structured. Yes, very good. Structured having dimensions and facts. Yeah, that also is. Images is unstructured. Very good, Madhuri. Okay, yeah. Images are unstructured or even files, just like Word files. They are unstructured, right? So that kind of thing. Okay, so that's very good. So those kind of uh, data types, the data might be in unstructured, semi-structured, or structured. And in addition to that, this data might arrive at different speeds and different intervals. So one file can take 10 minutes to load. The other file can take what do you call maybe 5 minutes only to load. So that's the they come in different speeds and different intervals. And so with Azure Data Factory, you can use the copy activity, which we are going to use today, um, to move the data from various sources, and to move the data from where you can as you have seen, you can move the data from various sources to a single single data store in the cloud. It can be either Azure SQL, or it can be a Synapse, or whatever you want to use. And after you have copied the data, you can use other systems to transform and analyze it. Okay. Now the copy activity performs um, some high level steps. So reading from the source, and then writing to a destination. So writing to a destination, you will have some serialization and deserialization, and sometimes you have compression and decompression, or you have column mapping. We will see all when we are actually doing the demo. And also, so once that is done, have writing to the destination. So we will see all that. So the next function, coming to the next function of the ADF, first is connect and collect, and then next one is transform and enrich. So once you load the data, once you copy the data into the central location, it can be either SQL or apps or whatever, you can process and transform the data. So process and transform the data means, for example, you have a date format in, let's say, we are in New Zealand, right? But we get the data in US format. For that, we need to transform the data so that it is changed to the New Zealand format. So those kind of transformations will happen, and you will use Azure Data Factory, mapping the data flows to achieve the um, transformation and enrichment function. And sometimes you may prefer to do these transformations manually as well. So you can use Azure Data Factory even to support that as well. Okay. So next function, coming to next function. Okay, you are doing the connecting and collecting and transformation and enrichment. You want to there is a term in software development, or even in data development, in these kind of things, where it is called CI/CD. What is CI/CD? Continuous integration and continuous delivery. So you will be using, there is a function in ADF where continuous integration and continuous delivery. So what will happen is, you have a big project, and you break that project down into different phases: phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, phase 4. Let's say phase 1, we create some data integration pipeline, right? And then you will have, in the development cycle, in the data development cycle, you will have development, test, and production uh, workspaces, or production data, because you can't use development uh, machine to you can't develop on a production machine, right? Because you have to develop, and while you are developing, production systems might fail if you develop straight into the production. So that's why you need a development process. And then once the developer is satisfied with the development, that needs to be tested. So that will go into the test system. And then from there, the testers will test it. And once they approve, then it needs to go into the production. So this is done usually, whatever the developer develops, if you want to put that into test, this is where you need the continuous CI/CD pipelines, so that you don't repeat whatever is done in development machine into the test machine. You just promote the pipelines. So that is why it is called CI/CD, and that is supported in Azure Data Factory. So that's why that is one of the functions. Okay. So now next one is monitoring. Once you develop the pipeline and publish it, you need to monitor for some errors or some failures of the jobs of the pipeline. So all these thing is also there. So these are the 4 fundamental functions of ADF. And for CI/CD pipelines, you can use either Azure DevOps, which is inbuilt in Azure, or you can use GitHub. So you have all the code in GitHub that is used for development. So those GitHub can be used. And then from GitHub, the code gets promoted to the test machine. And from the test machine, it will get promoted to production once the testing is done. Okay, so now any questions so far? Any questions on CI/CD pipelines or maybe some kind of monitoring? You can monitor with Azure. There is an Azure monitor. There is cost involved in it. You can use APIs, ADF API, pipeline APIs to monitor the pipelines. You can also use PowerShell. You can use Azure monitor logs as well. And also when you open portal, you will have health panels that also you can monitor and then use the see whether your pipeline is healthy or whether there are some errors that can occur. Those kind of things, you can do that. Okay, so these are the Azure ADF functions. Now let's go to the components. So connect and collect will have source and these LAN and integration runtimes. All this we will be seeing. There might be serialization, deserialization, compression, decompression, and column mapping. And then again, LAN and WAN are the main, what do you call, in corporate or government networks, you need to have what is called a virtual private network of the LAN and WAN that needs to be established, so that you will establish the subnets so that the internet people can't hack the system. Okay, there is a question. I have a CSV file. Okay, I'll get to that question, Ankit, after a little bit later. Okay, yeah, this is all what I think this is explaining what I have already mentioned. So I'll just go quickly. Yeah, so transform and enrich, you can process and transform the data copied, and also data flows enable you to create the data transformation, and it also runs on Spark. Spark is an engine that is used for transformation. You can use notebooks for that. Okay. And CI/CD is you as I mentioned, the tools that are used are Azure DevOps. You can use either Azure DevOps or you can use GitHub. And Azure Monitor, as I have mentioned, these are the tools that you can use for monitoring the ADF pipelines. Okay, now coming to the ADF components. The first component is pipelines, which we will be creating. So in the pipelines, we create some activities, and then you will have data sets. Also, you will have link services. All this we will see when we create the pipeline. Okay, and next one is data flows, and then integration runtimes. So these are the components that we use. Okay, now so these components are used to perform these functions that we have seen earlier by the data engineers. So data engineers use these components to build the pipelines so that they do the orchestration of the data properly. Okay, now let's go to the next one. Okay, what is a pipeline? So pipeline is a logical group of activities. So you have activity, right? Logical group of activities. You can perform these activities. You can perform a copy activity. You can perform a notebook activity, those kind of stuff. So that so these activities together perform a task. So copy activity performs a copy task. The advantage of using a pipeline is that you can more or less easily manage the activities as a set instead of individual items. So that's why you need to use a pipeline. Now, activity is just one activity, a single processing step in a pipeline. Azure Data Factory supports 3 types of activities. One is data movement, the other one is data transformation, and other one is control activities where you use data flows. After that, we will see the data sets, another component, which is they represent the data structures within your data stores. These point to the data that you want to use in your activities. So in the copy activity, you use 2 kinds of data sets. One is a source data set, the other one is a destination data set. Destination is also called sink within the copy activity. And they can be either inputs or outputs. So I'll talk about all this when we do the pipeline. And link services. What are link services? Link services are, for example, if you have a file on your laptop, you need to upload that into a blob storage in the diagram that we saw, right? So the blob, you need to create a link service from Azure Data Factory so that it connects to that blob storage. That is called the link service. And also, if you are trying to put the data into Azure SQL, you need to create another link service that will connect the ADF to the Azure SQL server. So that's how you connect to the link services are used to connect to these various storage areas, and then data sets are created out of them. So we will have a look at all that. Define the required connection information to connect to external resources such as data source. And also Azure Data Factory uses these for 2 purposes. One is data store and compute resource. Now data flows. What are data flows? Data flows help to develop data transformation logic. Include computer audio. No. I'm just playing the PowerPoint. Okay, so data flows are run as activities within ADF pipeline that use scaled out Apache Spark clusters. Okay. Now integration runtime. This is where ADF uses the compute infrastructure, where you will you will provide the data integration capabilities across the different network environments. We will see this also when we create the pipeline. And an integration runtime provides the bridge between the activity and the linked services. So because the activity needs to connect to the sources. So that is how link services connect to the activity using integration runtime. Okay, so if you look at this diagram, you will see here the ADF end-to-end example. So here is you need trigger. First, if you have a trigger, then on that, what kind of triggers are there? You can have on-demand triggers, scheduled triggers, data window triggers, storage event triggers, and then custom events. You can define a custom event trigger as well. So once that trigger is triggered, then what happens is the pipeline will run. So what is there in the pipeline? You will have, what is a pipeline? We have seen that pipeline is a group of activities. So you can have 2 activities that are linked together. So here what happens is, first this activity will happen and then followed by this activity. If this activity is success, then only that will happen. And all this and this is a for each loop. So for each, when the condition is true, these two activities will happen. Otherwise, it just goes into this activity. But those two will happen only after this activity happens. Similarly, like that, it can link to other pipelines as well. And how is this managed? So these activities run with self-hosted integration runtime, which is connected to Azure integration runtime as well. So if there is on-premise apps or data, then you will need self-hosted integration runtime. If it is cloud-based, then it is Azure integration runtime, which is default. So this is the link services part. And then, yeah, you will have the workflow here. So that is the end-to-end example. Any questions so far? Otherwise, we'll just proceed to the prerequisites and then go to. So what we are going to do today is, I have a Excel file, which is the normal, which is already available on the internet. It is called AdventureWorks Sales. What we will do today is, we will I have that on my laptop. From there, we are going to upload that to a blob storage. And from the blob storage, we are going to use ADF to move that, to copy that data from one of the sheets of that spreadsheet, of that AdventureWorks sales spreadsheet, into a Azure SQL database. So that is why the prerequisites are, you need an Azure subscription. If you have an Azure subscription, you can follow along with me. And you need to have a Data Factory contributor role. So you need to be a Data Factory contributor role. Otherwise, you can't create a Data Factory. And you need to have a Azure storage account, and you will also have a Azure SQL. So those are the prerequisites. Okay, now what do we do today in this first ADF pipeline is, we'll create a Data Factory, create a pipeline with a copy activity, and that copy activity will connect to the blob storage, get the data from one of the sheets, and then that will copy that data from that sheet into a Azure SQL table and run the pipeline. And then you can either trigger that pipeline manually, or you can use a schedule. And then you can also monitor the pipeline and activity runs. So I will show you how you can do all these things. Okay, I think we will go to demo. So I'll just stop sharing and then. Okay, I had a question. Yeah, you can add transformation steps as well. Can't find the chat. I saw a question from Ankit. I just want to see where I can. Okay, maybe I'll look at it after the demo. So I'm just going to share my screen. Okay, can you all see my screen? Okay. Okay, thanks, Anu. Okay, I am in the Azure portal. How do you go to Azure portal? You just type portal.azure.com. Okay, then you will go to Azure portal. Okay, so, first time when you are accessing this, you are prompted to log in. So you can log in with your work account. It has to be a work account. You cannot log in using your Gmails and Yahoo mails. Okay. Okay. Now I am logged in into Azure portal and I'm on my home page. I have a subscription, which is Visual Studio. It's called Visual Studio Enterprise. Okay. Now, the first thing that we need to do is we need to ensure is we need to have a storage account, because our file will be in the storage account. And I'm going to show you what file it is going to be. It is AdventureWorks sales, and we are going to import this sheet, which has 1, 2, 3, 4 columns. Okay. Channel, sales order line key, sales order, and then sales order line. Okay, so this is the data. And let's see how many records are there. Okay, it's 1, 2, 1, 2, 5, 4, something like that. Okay, I'm just going to close this. And I'm just going to show you how to create a storage account. So what you do is, you can go first create a resource. And in the created resource, you can just go storage, start typing storage account, and then you will, if you click on that in the marketplace on Azure, you will see storage account. So you can go to the storage account and then you can start creating it. Once you hit create, you need to give these, at the minimum, you need to give this information. So you need to choose your subscription, and you can choose a resource group. I'm going to choose, I think I'll create a new one so that cleaning will be easy. So I will say, just go with the date, today's date, demo 3103 RG, because this is the resource group. I'm just giving it as RG, and then and that's okay. In the bracket, it came as new. So now this is going to, once I hit review create, it's going to create a new resource group. And storage account name, I'm going to give it as demo storage, demo store. I can say demo store. Okay. 303103. You need to give unique names. Okay. After that, I want to choose the region. Because I live in New Zealand, I'm choosing the Australia East region, because there is nothing in New Zealand. And here, if you look at the performance, usually what we choose is standard. Premium is recommended for scenarios that require low latency. So if you need very high availability, then you use the choose low latency. For now, I'm just choosing the standard. And here, redundancy, you have these options. I'm just going to explain what these options are. First option is locally redundant storage. That is the lowest cost option. And what it does is, it just stores the copy of the storage. It will be within that region. So it will be in the Australia East region only. Geo redundant is, you will have a backup scenario where there will be a storage in another region. So Australia Southeast region or something like that. That will be geo redundant storage. And there is zone redundant as well. Zone redundant is at the data center level. You will have your data will be stored in a different zone. And geo zone is again both GRS and zone. These two combined, you will have this is the most this is the optimal data protection, and also costs more. Okay, so these are the 4 options that are available. I'm just going to choose locally redundant, and then you can hit review and create. Okay, but before you go and review and create, there are others which you can consider. So you have advanced, and then you have require secure transfer using REST API, and all these are there. Enable storage account key access, minimum TLS version, all these are there. And for some, you need to enable hierarchical namespace for use for SFTP. If you want to FTP some files, then you need to create it as a enable hierarchical namespace. Then only you can enable the SFTP. Otherwise, you cannot. So those kind of things are there. And allow cross tenant replication. If you want that also, you need to enable that. And if you want enable large file shares, so that is this one. So all these are advanced features. I'm not going to tick anything. And networking, this is where for public, at the moment I'm just going with public because I have a public data set. But usually what people should do is disable public access and use private access. You should use that, and your IT department will have some nets that they will provide so that you can use those subnets. And data protection, all these things are there, so you can enable that. So all these things, I'm just keeping them normal, and then you can add tags. Tags are added for you to identify using search. So, and then all these things are you can define if you want, and then if you hit review and create, it will give you the validation, what the options that you have chosen. At the moment, I have some storage account, so I'm not going to create it. So I'm just going to go into home and into my storage account, and I'll show you how the storage account looks. So this is a storage account that I have created sometime last year. And in this, if once I access this, see, you can see, you can get an overview as to what this is. So it has primary is Australia East, and secondary is Australia Southeast, secondary location. Okay. And then it was created under that subscription, and general purpose, all these is, and it was created on 25th of November 2022, and all those things are there. And here, if you look closely, you can see this containers. So within these containers, you have this data to file. So that's the container. It's like our C drive. Okay. And within the C drive, you can either add another directory that will become our documents, downloads. You can use whatever, and or you can just upload files. What I have done is I have just uploaded the file that we want to use in here, AdventureWorks sales. Okay. So this is what we are going to use in our Azure Data Factory. So now what we'll do is we'll just go into home, and we will also look at our target. I also have a Azure SQL Server, which is it is in this Azure SQL demo. It's called a SQL demo. That is what the SQL Server that is called. And here I will go into the SQL databases. Okay, so where is the Azure SQL Server? I am hoping that I have one. Okay. Okay, so this is the SQL database that I'm going to use, AdventureWorks. Okay, so this is the SQL database, and here I can use the query editor. So I'm just going to use the query editor, and I have enabled dual authentication, so I can either use this or my Azure AD. I'm just going to use the admin login, and then I'm going to log in as SQL admin. Now, what I want to do is, since I want to create the table, the new table, I'm just going to create the new table. I think I have some. Yeah, I have a script to create the table because there are four columns that we have seen, right? So I'm just creating a table, demo sales order, and varchar. I'll just to 100, and sales order line key is integer because it's a key, and this also I'm just going to increase the varchar. So I'm just going to create this, okay, this table. Okay, so that is created, and let's see. Select star from, because we just created, it should not give any results, but I'm just doing this because just to see that, yeah, query succeeded, but there are no results. But you can see the columns: channel, sales order line key, sales order, and I'm just closing this, sales order and sales order line. Okay, so now we have the source and we have the target. Now what we'll do is we'll just go home. Say, okay, let's go to, I'll leave that as it is. And I'm going to open the portal in another tab. And now I'm going to create a Azure Data Factory. I think I have a factory here. Okay, let's go. I'll just go Data Factory. Data Factory. And okay, same thing, because it's a cloud service. I'm just going to create. So again, we need to give these details. So resource group, I'm just going to use create new and demo ADF RG. RG is resource group. Demo ADF. And then I'm going to choose Australia East. Okay, demo ADF is already there, so I'm just using this. That also is taken. That's not taken. Okay. And the version that I want to create is V2. There's nothing there. So I'm just going to review and create. Again, you have the Git configuration. Git configuration is when I mentioned the CI/CD pipeline. This is where you configure the your CI/CD, which tool you are using, Azure DevOps or GitHub. So all those I'm not going into that. Just not going to do the CI/CD pipeline. So I'll just see here. You review the content that you have seen. It's going to be public because we haven't defined any private networks. So it will be public, and then whatever you have given the names, that is what you are going to create. So we have given, this is the resource group that is going to be created, and the ADF name will be this. And I'm just going to create. It's just going to take a couple of minutes. Okay, so that's done. So I'm just going to go into the resource. I went into the resource. Now what I want to do is I want to do all those components, the pipelines, remember pipelines, activities, tasks, those kind of things. So I'm just launch studio, and I'm going to explain you a little bit what this studio consists of. Okay, you can, as soon as you launch the studio, you will have these, you can ingest, orchestrate, transform data, and configure SSIS. It's just, you can do that from here as well. But what I will do is I'm going to go through this one. This is the home where you see all this, and this is the authoring area. So if you click here, you will see all the pipelines. I haven't because it's just created, there are no pipelines here. Remember, I mentioned data sets, data flows, and Power Query somebody mentioned, Hemant mentioned. So all these can be done. So what we are going to do is, I'm going to just go and create a new pipeline. So once I create the pipeline, what is a pipeline? It's a group of activities. So that's why all these are activities: move and transform, synapse, Azure Data, all these are activities. What I want to do is, I just want to use just the copy data activity. So I'm just going to drag and drop. Now here, this is the space where you can see all the workflow. So once you click on this, see, you need to configure these ones. So I'm just going to say copy data from blob to SQL. And then you can give some description. I'm not going to give that. Now, yeah, I'll leave these as it is. And then you need to provide the source and sink. This is mandatory. That's why 1 and 1. Okay. So now source. Source is a data set. Do we have a data set? We don't have a data set, right? So I haven't created a data set. So for that, you need to click on new. And what is our source? Our source is blob storage, right? So I'll just going to click on that and then continue. And it's in the blob storage, it's an Excel file, right? So I'm just going to click on the Excel file and then continue. And we can just name that as Excel sales or something. And then choose a link service. I haven't defined any link service. So I'm just going to go new again. And then this is the Azure Blob Storage Link Service. I'm just naming that as LS. And see, we talked about runtime, right? So because our source is in the cloud itself, in the blob storage, we are just going to go with the auto resolve integration runtime. If our storage is not in cloud but on premise, then you need to create a self-hosted runtime, which we are not going to go through today. And then now here from subscription, I'm going to click this subscription, and then the storage account name. Yeah, we have this. And okay, so we have, I have chosen the storage account name, and then we will test the connection. If the connection is okay, yeah, test connection successful. So that is create. So now we are creating the link service, and we can choose that link service in this one. So that is what the link service that we have chosen. And we have to also choose the sheet name. So okay, so first we need to choose the container. You can browse it, and from data to file, choose this one. So it's all chosen. Now it's loading. It's getting the sheet name. Once that is loaded, then we can choose the sheet name. Still loading. Let's give it a couple of minutes. Now it's all loaded. So now what are we doing? I think it's called sales order data. Okay, now for me, first row is the header. So I'm just going to click that and then say okay. Once we say okay, taking a bit of time. Okay, now you have defined the source, that one disappeared. And now if you want to preview data, you can also preview data here, whether we have chosen the right right sheet. So, preview data. Somehow the net is a bit slow today. Okay, let's look at the sync now. Again, we need to create preview data has appeared. Yeah, this is what we want to copy. So I'm just going to close that. Now we need to create a new other data set for this is the destination data set, and destination data set is Azure SQL. So I'm just going to go Azure SQL database, continue, and link service. I have not defined any link service, so I'm just going to define the link service ls. And because it's in cloud, you can just use the auto resolve runtime. And I'm choosing the subscription, server name, and database is loading. It's in AdventureWorks. And authentication type, let me just let me just use, oh God, authentication. Okay, SQL admin. Okay, I'm going to use SQL authentication, and I'm just going to test the connection. Hopefully that works. Yeah, and then create. Once you create, we want to choose the table. And I think the table name, anyone remembers what the table name that we have given? Demo sales order, right? Okay, so let's do that. And then click on OK. So sync is the destination. Okay. Now, once we do that, we have defined the source and defined the destination. Now, what we need, and also we have done the integration runtime. One other thing that is left here, that thing is mapping. So we need to do the column mapping. And for that, we need to just hit on the import schema and ensure that the right columns are mapped to each other, so that column 1 will go into data will go into column 1 data in the destination. So hopefully that won't take long. Am I running over time?
No, you can continue.
Okay, yeah, I think it'll take another 5 minutes.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, so now okay, so it did not map the one of the columns because I think the column name is a bit different. Sales order line key. So order line key, and okay, I just wrote sale order line key. That's why all the others it mapped. So understanding, right? I'm just going to close this and then show you. So channel sales order line key. So this is from the blob storage Excel file, and this is the table that we created in the Azure SQL. So I am happy with this mapping, and now what we'll do is we will run this. We will just run this in the sense I'm not adding a trigger, I'm just testing it. So for testing it, you can just go debug. So once we hit debug, if there are any errors, it's going to show you. So it is queued now. and let's see whether it's going to get some errors, whether we are going to get any errors. Okay, it has failed. View debug run not consumption. Okay, what is the reason for this failure? Error code cannot connect to SQL database. Please contact SQL server. AdventureWorks user admin. Check the link service configuration is correct and make sure the okay SQL database firewall allows the run integration runtime to access. Okay, so IP address need to be allowed. Okay, I need to copy that IP address. Oh God. 2042.3.27. Okay, let's do that. 2042. Sure SQL. Need to go to networking. Where is networking? It will be in the server. Okay, I'm just going to, I'll just copy this one. Cancel. Okay, no worries. Okay. And I'm just going to SQL databases, or where should I? Networking, I think. Okay, it says selected networks. That's why. Okay, I need to add the add your client. I think it is added. Okay, add your clients. Save. And I need to add another one. Add a firewall rule. I'll just name something. Start IP. Oh, what was the IP? Sorry. 2042.3.27. 2042.3.27. 2042.3.27. Once I do that, now if I run it again, I'll run it again. Let's see what's going to happen. Yeah, it's queued again. $9.40. Okay, while this is running, I want to take some questions. I can't see the questions. Can you read out the questions for me, please? Can't see the chat. Oh, again, it failed. Again, some connectivity issue. Oh, why is it changing? Management portal run set SP set firewall rule database to create a firewall rule. It may take up to it may take up to 5 minutes. Okay. Meanwhile, can I answer some questions? Are there any questions? Let me. Yes, you can link Power BI data flow to ADF. Yes. Yeah, I'll rerun this after 5 minutes. But are there any questions? Any further questions? So which we need to choose. Choose for what? We need to select for data flow access. Okay, let us try. I'll add another. There is data flows here. You can use that. Create a new data flow. Did that answer your question, Hemant? And also you can use Power Query as well. Source as Power BI. Okay, source as Power BI. Okay, let's try if we have anything. I'm just going to go here and let's go. Okay, so you want data flow. No, I don't think you can use that, Hemant, because data flow, Power BI data flows in ADF, no, you can't use that. Sorry, yeah. Yeah, you can't use that. Any other questions?
Hi Indra, Ankit here.
Yeah, Ankit.
Yeah, my question, I just wanted to repeat it.
Yeah.
My data is stored on a Linux machine. It's a remote machine. And the data is in CSV format. The CSV gets updated in real time. It's kind of a sensor. It collects
Okay.
data
Yeah.
at it can collect
Mm,
data at any point in time. And
mm,
I
mm,
need sort of visualize the data and also analyze it. So is there something in Azure Data Factories which can connect to that remote Linux machine and sort of update it in real time, like it gets updated there?
Updated in Linux itself?
Yeah, it's a CSV. The machine has sensors attached to it. The sensors send data to a CSV. They sort of write on it. They append that CSV with new
Yeah,
data
I understood.
attached.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So one way to do it is you can create a streaming data set
Okay.
in Azure,
Okay.
streaming data set, and then try and push the CSV into the streaming data set, CSV file information into the streaming data set, and then you can connect Power BI to this streaming data set.
Um.
That is one way of doing it.
But the CSV, if I sort of push it into that database, any new data when it comes, will it be reflected there?
You need to have a schedule that needs to run
Okay.
so that it so that it gets refreshed maybe every 1 minute or 2 minutes, depending on what's the lag that you need.
Okay, so maybe I can copy that file continuously, not
Yes.
continuously, in 1 hour gap, and
In
then
1 hour. If your latency it can be 1 hour, you can do that.
okay, thank you.
That's okay. Yeah, no worries. I think we'll leave it at that. This one it might take a little one. I'll give one last try. Otherwise, yeah. Did it say? Copy activity source. Oh, I can't run this one with this one. Okay, just give me 1 minute. I'm just going to close this, delete that, and then I can run this one. I think we can end the session. Hopefully this will usually, yeah, it needs to run. It will run once the IP address is the firewall is lifted. I think it takes about 5 to 10 minutes to do that. Yeah, I think it's the same error that is coming. So it takes about 5 minutes. So maybe let's end the session.
Okay, sure, Indra. So can I take your screen? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, yeah, you can take my screen.
So thank you, Indra, for delivering such an informative and wonderful session. And thank you all the participants for joining the session. And I hope you have learned a lot from this session. Thank you once again.